Walk me through why Brooklyn and why this was the time for you to come to this team.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, in my conversations with them, leading up to this, I feel like they well, obviously they expressed interest. Interest was mutual. I felt like they had a need, for another big, another guy to facilitate, sort of fill these gaps. What they have. I mean, anytime you have these type of players, you got to have guys around them to relieve that pressure. And for me, it's about playing meaningful basketball, playing in the playoffs, and continuing for a championship. So, those were my main reasons.
And secondly, you've been listed as out tomorrow for your knee maintenance. Where does that injury stand, and when are you hoping?
I'm not injured at all. I don't. I haven't played in 3 weeks, so I think it's smart to sort of ramp me up. Or actually almost 4 weeks now, so there's no injury.
What are you hoping the timeline will be for your return to the court after you get that appropriate amount of work under your belt?
Honestly, I'll have to sit with the performance staff here. I haven't had a chance. I haven't met with them, but they're putting a plan together. So, my trust is in them, and we'll talk about it, I think, on Thursday or Friday, and put a plan together and really figure out an exact date.
Thank you.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Hey, Blake. Welcome to New York. I'm curious, twofold. One, I'm sure all of you guys were very diligent about following all the rules. Who was the most avid recruiter or most involved recruiter in trying to get you here? And what conversations have you had with Steve about, the best way to utilize your talents?
As far as players go, average, I talked to Katie the most. But I've known James, Katie, Kyrie, and obviously DeAndre for a long time. So this was a familiar team for me. As far as my conversation with Coach Nash, it's just like I talked about, come in and fill those gaps, be a short roller, be ready to facilitate, to set screens, to roll, to pop, to do whatever. That's my focus is, to really dive in this first, this first several games and really see where I'm needed and fill those spots and help us achieve our goal.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
Hi, Blake. Welcome to Brooklyn. And I was just wondering, Steve was talking before about how because of your injuries, you've done a good job of adapting your game to stress other skills. And now it seems like you have to adapt to a more limited role off the bench. So what goes into that for you mentally to filling a different kind of role with a little bit less responsibility than you're used to in the past?
At the end of the day, basketball. I've played with great players. I've played on all different types of teams. So, when you're on the court, you're just playing basketball. The best players, the ball finds the best players. And that for us is obviously KD, Kyrie, and James. And, that's not really a thing that I don't think I'll have to consciously do. I've played basketball a long time and like I said, played with guys like that before. Those guys make the game easier. So you play off them and you fill in those spots.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, Blake, welcome to Brooklyn. You mentioned all the guys that you've talked to and have known for a long time. Do you feel like you can kind of get quickly acclimated even in a season without a lot of practice time, just given how much of this roster you've played with before and have ties going back just in friendships?
You're saying how quickly do I think I can adapt to that?
Yeah, just how quickly you can get acclimated to the rest of the team given how much of these guys you know, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these guys have been together for a while now. So there is a learning curve for sure. But, I kind of keep saying it, but basketball is basketball at the end of the day. I'm pretty familiar with these guys. And like I said, they make the game easier for us. So, there will be that learning curve, but I'm just excited to be on the court with them and figure it out. We have 2 months before the playoffs start. And I think that's plenty of time.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey Blake, also welcome to Brooklyn. Have you gotten a chance to kind of watch the team, watch some film, and look at the sets that they run, and kind of maybe place yourself into the game and figure out where you can make an impact, and just wherever you think that you can make an impact at?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the last several games, and then I had a chance to look at a lot of film over the last 2 days. And I'm sorry, I feel like I keep saying it, but just getting out there and playing with those guys, they make the game easy. Over the years, I've tried to always add something to my game, and I think now at this point, I have sort of a skill set to be able to sort of fit different areas and help those guys out. So I'm not going to force anything, but Coach Nash has told me to play my game and not worry too much about that. I mean, once we get out there, I think we'll get a better feel, and the more time we spend together. So I'm excited just to start that process. It already started today with practice, but it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm looking forward to it.
Rachel Nichols with ESPN.
Hey, Blake. I know from being around you out here in LA, just how competitive you are. What has it been like for you to be on a team where you weren't getting that juice going into the playoffs and that competitive spirit, and then now to switch gears to a team that's frankly become one of the favorites to win the title?
There's always that competitive side, obviously, to basketball. Every year, in the previous years with Detroit, our goal was to get to the playoffs. We did that 2 years ago. That's great. But, my main focus now was to play, and contend for a championship. So, mindset doesn't change. I'm always trying to win a basketball game every time I step on the court. But playing these meaningful minutes, playing with these guys, and really contributing in any way possible, and not to say you have to shoulder the whole load, with certain teams, but I had a little bit more of that in Detroit with a younger team and more of a mentor role. Now this sort of reminds me of playing with some of those Clipper teams when we had so many veteran guys and so many experienced guys.
Do you get a little extra just juice of like, all right, let's go? Yeah,
I mean, there's a feeling, I guess, and even in practice tonight, where the ultimate goal, the big goal, and the main focus. So it's exciting to have that.
Thanks.
Kevin O'Connor with The Ringer.
Hey, Blake, you mentioned earlier short rolling. The Nets have often used Bruce Brown's screening for Kyrie or Harden and then short rolling. And you've obviously been one of the game's best playmaking bigs for many years now. So I'm curious about your thoughts on what makes that combination so effective, and how do you see your playmaking skill set fitting in with that screening role?
Yeah, I mean, for years, I think that was, like you said, that was sort of my role on our team, with Chris Paul. You obviously never want to take the ball out of your best player's hands or your best decision maker's hands. But obviously defenses are schemed to do that. So for me, it's about, getting off of that and then being able to facilitate to a shooter, another DHO, or, hit a lob threat, DeAndre or Nick down low. I've had a lot of experience in that. I'm familiar with that. This team is obviously a little bit different, but the more we get those reps in, the better I'll feel, and I'm comfortable doing sort of multiple things out of that offense.
You mentioned this team's different and the game's different too, since you were with CP and you were maybe in some of those situations. Do you feel like with the personnel on this team, it's really like the right time, for you to be in that role, to be able to pick apart defense in some of those 4-on-3 situations?
Yeah, I watch sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch film from earlier in my career, and I always had that thing where I'm like, I wish I had seen it this way, so I think all those things combined, just where I'm at in my career, and also having all that experience, you see the game differently. So I sort of like watched those clips, and I sort of wish that I had what I know now. So I hope to put that to use here.